I forgot to turn the loop off. That's why it counted down 10 twice. Sorry, guys.
Hello, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, wait, I know what I'm doing. Hold on one second.
I don't think you guys can hear my cat, but if you hear like something that sounds like a screaming baby, it's my cat. I don't, she's just walking around the house wailing because I'm not paying attention to her.
She wants the mic.
I mean, you saw her jump up here while we were in the waiting room. She loves whenever I'm streaming. I had to start not even using my computer monitor. I have to have it closed because if it's open, she'll jump on the keyboard.
She loves all of that. I want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. I know Jess usually goes and starts talking for a few, but I wanted to just jump in. One, thank Publicly Buzz for pushing us out there a little bit and bringing a bunch of people in. Got a few new subscribers for that, so blessed for that very much, and the support that publicly buzzed always brings us. And in honor of them, I'm not publicly buzzed, but I'm having a drink. I also wanted to take a moment and just recognize a few things that happened this past week. It was Don Pacella's birthday over here. Um, that story is so compelling, and if you haven't listened to Seeking Justice, the YouTube show, podcast, you can catch them both ways. It's worth falling into this rabbit hole because me and a couple of thousand people can't be the only ones furious about this case. The injustice, the bravery of Tony Viola standing up and really taking corrupt government to task. So so that's on my mind. Um, and that's it. I'm gonna save everything else for later.
Yeah, definitely check out Seeking Justice. Once you hear all the evidence and it's all laid out, it doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. And there's just no way somebody could have the blood alcohol uh, level that she did and things like that. It's yeah, to me it's obvious that that was staged and there's so much other
Yeah,
evidence that hasn't been investigated, and Dawn and her family desperately need justice. So please check out our friends at Seeking Justice. I'll find a link and put it in there, but please check them out, watch the story, share it with your friends. Everybody needs to hear, you know, what happened to Dawn, and
yeah.
she needs justice.
And the team need justice at Seeking Justice. They
Yes.
need supporters because they're being threatened with a lawsuit. it, yeah, it's absolutely outrageous. So the depravity of Mark Bennett thinking he can just do whatever he wants is astounding. So those three ladies, Andrea, Lexi, and Dana, are important to us and always want to support them and their efforts as well. And that show gave me some incredible one liners that came out of that. Like Detective Dawes just saying, "Come on, guys, let's do some police work." I mean,
Hmm.
it's epic. There are so many other ones that are just like golden rules. But yeah, so give them a support if you can.
Yeah, and the investigators of that case definitely need Joe's book, Sarge's book,
Maybe upside the head, perhaps first.
upside the head, and then learn how to do an investigation. I feel like I need to like do a fundraiser so we can get a bunch of those copies and give it out to some of these precincts because some of them need some help.
Well, they have to be willing to learn, and
Yeah.
that's part of what I wanted to bring up when I start talking about Othram because and we don't have to get into it just yet, but it'll certainly segue into that.
I just accidentally typed the wrong thing. The only bad thing about having friends with a similar name is I get confused. I just put okay, so I'm gonna put the follow the
Did you get it? You want me to get it?
seek. No, I got it. I just put catch justice instead of seeking justice, and then I've even called us catching justice.
We all need some justice.
Yes, there's so much justice that is needed, and thankfully, because of an organization like Othram, there has been justice, and there will be so much more justice. I had a conversation with Carrie today, and we were discussing DNA and how far it's come. Because, like, back in the 70s, it was a lot easier for serial killers to get away with what they were doing. And then early DNA started catching stuff, and now it's touch DNA. It's gotten so much more sophisticated. It's grown so much even in our lifetime. Think our
Yeah.
parents' lifetime. Geez, like it's so yeah, with organizations like Othram helping agencies that are willing to accept the help, then
Well,
we
I
will see a
mean,
lot more.
you have to give credit too to law enforcement that were diligent enough to collect evidence like
Mm,
hairs. Like if that hair wasn't maintained on Sandra Castilla or even Jessica Taylor or any of the Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Amber, we might still not have an arrest in the list case. So um, definitely kudos to any law enforcement agency that at least does the basics. I'm being harassed by a fly. That did the basics and collect that evidence and secured it for some time. So that's helping groups like Othram. Going to kill this fly. Where's your cat? Can I have your cat for a few
yeah,
minutes?
right. She loves chasing flies and bugs, and she screams at them when she's trying to catch them, even though I try to tell her that doesn't help at all. She's
I'm gonna
very
show.
vocal. She likes to talk a lot, so it's obvious it's my cat.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go forward, or do you want me to launch right into Othram? What do you want to do?
No, I
I
don't really
feel we
have
freestyle today a little
much.
bit.
Yeah, we'll freestyle. You can get into Othram, and then I'll kind of piggyback on. I'll comment on what you're talking about. We'll do
Yep,
that.
sounds good. All right, let me bring this up here because I love that logo so much.
Yes, thank you, Shay.
Shay is the best. So I was getting a little fancy with my time, my time today. Lord help me. Yeah, redundant.
Othram.
Dun 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 is dramatic. But so Othram put out an article the other day. They messaged me and sent it to me, and then they posted it, which I always appreciate a few minutes heads up. But I just want to get back to what Othram is. So I just took this off of the website. Founded in 2018 by David Middleman, Stephen Zhu, and Steven Zhu. I hope I said that properly. The company is located in the Woodlands, Texas, and specializes in forensic genetic genealogy to solve cold cases, missing persons, and unidentified victims. We've seen a lot of them helping law enforcement to capture murderers or identify rapists and things like that. Othram's private DNA laboratory is the first in the world to use modern parallel sequencing on forensic evidence. The company works with law enforcement, medical examiners, forensic scientists, and academic researchers to achieve results when other methods fail. I wish they'd work with me a little bit. I'm always reaching out to them. Um, for anybody familiar with the Gilgo case, Othram was part of the team that helped identify Karen Vergata, formerly Fire Island Jane Doe. And that was a huge leap forward for this case. More recently, they helped identify Lucy Van Heekeren, who was formerly known as Setauket Jane Doe, a complete and utter mystery. We still don't know how Lucy died out there, but her story is quite captivating. If anyone had read the Newsday article that I tweeted, her life is really interesting and sad at the same time. So this is how important a company like Othram and their contribution can be. What they did in this article was really, and of course I always hit on the catchy names or hashtags, which I see words that become an instant hashtag in my mind. Um, so this was part of an article that they posted, they partnered with and released. And since 1965, gosh, I should have put my glasses on. Nearly 350,000 murder and manslaughter cases have remained unsolved, while as many as 75,000 John and Jane Does remain unidentified. This number continues to grow as more than 4,400 unknown bodies are recovered each year on U.S. soil. I have about 12,000 of them on my map right now. Recent advances in forensic DNA testing have made it possible to identify victims and suspects with remarkable success even decades after a body is found. But these new technologies aren't being used to their full capacity because hashtag legacy gatekeepers. I'm going to go on a rant on that later on, but legacy gatekeepers are unwilling to collaborate with private forensic companies that have developed these new tools. This refusal has profound consequences. Every day that passes without identification is another day that victims' loved ones go without answers, and another day that killers walk free. That's powerful sentences there. Like they really are, with Bode, with Parabon, at the forefront of developing new technologies that are going to be indisputable in court. I
Hmm.
When I first heard District Attorney Ray Tierney talk about cutting edge science in the identification of the hair evidence on Gilgo, I was nervous because it's cutting edge science. Cutting edge science can be challenged in a court of law. There isn't enough precedence for it to be established. But this math is math and hardcore. So I'm super confident in this science, and I believe wholly in it. This is also part from the article. In March, the nonprofit National Academy of Sciences convened a 2-day workshop on law enforcement and genomics. I had to stumble on that for a second. Exploring the reliability, accuracy, and impact of emerging technologies forensic science. The subject matter experts behind these technologies are predominantly from the private sector, but workshop organizers did not include a single private sector forensic practitioner or representative of any of the technologies being explored. That's an instant fail. The omission of the private sector will result in incomplete assessment. And because government bodies often view NAS reports as the authoritative word on technological matters, the forthcoming flawed report will have a lasting and likely detrimental impact on the adoption of critical new tools that could help communities. And I can't see the rest of that. Um, the slide numbers there. But that's what's missing. Like if this company, let's just use Othram because that's what we're talking about. If Othram is driving the needle forward fast and resolving unresolved cases, putting murderers in jail where they belong. Same thing with rapists and any criminal. And it's their technology and it's their achievements. They ought to have been at this table.
Hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
it's unfair for them to not be at this table. And that's where that phrase legacy gatekeepers really has power behind it. So I was really, really grateful that the team at Othram gave me a little bit of a heads up on that article,
Mm.
and before they tweeted it, because it weaponized me, and I was ready to go and speak on this because. Listen, I get we're a capitalistic society. I get Othram charges anywhere from 5,000 to $8,000 of crowdsourced funding to solve a case or to build a profile. But that's the cornerstone of America for a large part is that
That's not
capital.
even that much. I thought you were gonna say like 5,000 to 75,000.
I mean,
Like I thought it was gonna be way way more
yeah,
expensive.
yeah, and this is why they don't need my help.
Right.
Clearly, you know. Um, but I want to offer that. That's why I wanted to talk about Othram because up until Othram, I so rarely put a resolved or an identified comment on the map.
Right.
And at one point, I think it was last month, when I started really interacting with them, it's like I can't keep up. Like every day, there's a handful of identifications, and I'm like, this is a true blessing. Like for me, all the work going into the map is being undone because there's identifications, and that's just identifications. If
Right.
there's a murder, if a victim is murdered and goes 5, 10, 15, 40 years unidentified, getting an identification is a massive leap forward for investigators,
Right.
and this is what's so important. So I was honored. I wasn't asked, but I was honored to just assume the to use my platform to get that word out, because everybody may see an Othram tweet or an Othram post on their Facebook page, DNA Solves Advocates, um, or see it in their local news where a local unidentified, sort of historical unidentified, finally gets their name back. That's a huge thing, and for me, it's very compelling because I'm sure you've all heard me someplace or another. I get very connected to the people that are on the map, and I may not remember many of them now because there's so many, it's hard to remember, but I can almost give you something on almost all of them. um, I get committed to them, and sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that is seeing them, because I look at that map, Jesus, more than I brush my hair, it's all the time. So I get very happy, sad when someone gets their name back, or a cold case murder victim gets some justice. Yeah.
So do you like, because there's so many people on the map, how do you know if it's not one that you're like monitoring?
Now
It,
it's easy because every state is on the map except for three.
okay.
So if I see an unidentified and they say Orange County, it's either Florida or California, and I'll double check. If I see a county that's only in California and nowhere else, I know I don't have it on that. I still read the article. I still acknowledge that victim's name coming home to them. Well, I'll read about, like, today they posted about a unsolved murder case, and I read it because, again, like I say all the time, these victims deserve to be heard
Right, absolutely.
and seen, and their justice needs to be seen. So it's important. So it's a lot easier to know off the bat if somebody's on the map. We still run into the issues where unidentified get added to NamUs every day, and they could be anywhere from days, weeks, or decades old. So,
Right. Yeah, because they don't always add it there right away.
Jersey Jen, one day, one day, I won't do it on this channel or a CatchLISK channel, but a cooking show. I wanted to do that a couple of years ago, but you made me laugh and smile.
Yeah, and they said that you look at the map more than you use truffle oil.
Um, yes, that's still. I had to think about that for a second, but yes, I put truffle oil in everything. I put that shit on everything.
That's
Um,
funny.
hold on, let's see that. So I'll put that up so I can just read it to everyone. I only recently heard of your map. Can I ask, do you investigate each person and the reason of death, or is it a case of putting them on a map to allow investigation? It's a little bit of both. Sometimes I'll get so caught up in the brief narrative that you'll find in NamUs. If it's something I'm instantly compelled to, because I'm very intuitive. So when something pulls me in, I'm gone for the day. And then I'll double down and layer in. I'll go to DNA, the Doe Network, and newspapers, and search for information on the unidentified person. Um, but for me, right now, it's putting them on the map for the most part because I get asked more and more frequently, for a quick assessment on a possible unidentified person for a missing person.
Hmm.
And that, I think we talked about it last week, where um, I'm sort of working with a group on one case in Florida, and I just needed to ask a few questions, like, where was she, where was she headed, things like that. Where had she had connectivity to across the map? Um, and within 15 minutes, I can give law enforcement over a dozen, possibles to look at.
Hmm.
They have many more resources than I'll ever have.
Right.
But I also ask how many layers of like, what's their parameters, because I can give you skull fragment unidentified, I can give you a femur unidentified, or I can just keep it more closely to the physical characteristics and the storyline that's in NamUs. So I'll often find myself in a rabbit hole. I do give more time to children, unidentified children. Anything that I can invest my time in to get some extra information or collect that information, put it in the details of the map, then somebody else, I always say someone smarter than me, but somebody willing to invest the time for this one particular doe, they would have all of their resources right there. And I would hope that if they find any extra resources, that they would also share them with me. I can add them into the map in seconds. So yeah, thanks for that question. True crime would be. I appreciate that.
I
I'm gonna.
cannot. I'm not fully look. I Yeah. I just misspelled a few words when I just sent a message. That's okay. You
It's
guys
okay.
know I can spell normally. I'm just trying to get it through fast. I
Indeed.
swear I can spell.
So I'm just gonna go a couple of more things. What's up with Nightbot? All right, I gotta figure
I don't
that.
know. It keeps trying to do some commands and they're not
Yeah, I
working.
might have something left in there. I see it's on Joe right now. I'll figure that out after the show. Sorry though. Oh gosh, let me get my glasses for this one. So the contribution of the private sector goes back decades. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, private forensic teams worked under contract with the New York City office of the chief medical examiner to help identify some 20% of victims by utilizing then new technology to recover genetic information from minuscule DNA samples. To that paragraph alone spoke to me, because a friend of mine, firefighter Eric T. Olson from the South Street Seaport Fire Station, who probably jogged to the Trade Center in 30 seconds because it's right there, and was always one of the um, first responders into those buildings. He was last recorded um, location was, I believe, on the 88th floor. Um, and he probably made it all the way up by the time the building came down. And the only, sorry, the only he was identified by a bone in his toe years later, like 4 years later. So that's the impact of companies like Othram bringing closure, if that could ever be, but bringing somebody home. If all that's left of them is a small fragment of who they physically were, they'll be forever larger than life as the heroes that they are. Okay, enough of that.
Yeah, like 9/11, it's just like there's this documentary that was on Hulu that had all this footage that hadn't been shown before. Some things that I wasn't aware of, and if you have an opportunity to see that documentary, I can't remember the name of it, but I doubt that there's a ton of them on Hulu. It has a lot of footage from like the inside and like when a lot of things are happening. Because I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize it was as bad, that bad. And I was even, I was in college when that happened. But all this footage is just now coming out, and yeah, I cried watching it. It's definitely it's powerful, and everybody should watch it.
Yeah, being in New York City on 9/11, I can't even really talk about it. Seeing the things I've seen, um, my wife at that time, she worked right there. She was supposed to have a meeting in that building. She was late because I was talking to her. And she had to walk back full of ash and smoke over the Brooklyn Bridge into Brooklyn. Um, just God bless our first responders. All right, I can't. Enough of that. This was the last sentence or two, paragraph or two in that Othram article, and it is so poignant to me. Cold cases, closing cold cases is vitally important. Private companies can help and already do so every day. We would be even more effective at bringing justice to victims and closure to families if forensic science gatekeepers would embrace private sector investment and technology. Look at what NASA
Agree.
does. Not NASA, NASA is a government agency, and they do tons of secretive military and science work. But now they're using public resources to move science and technology further. This is the same thing. In fact, this is even more important. I'm a science geek, like absolute science geek. But this is so much more important that it can't be quantified how important this is.
Yeah, it's huge, and they need to work together. It doesn't make any sense because the local governments are having a lot of issues with testing and labs. Houston, for instance, they were having issues with the lab. We had a huge scandal with the lab, and there was it's super backed up. I have a family that I'm working with. There's two suspects, and there's two sets of ballistics. One, it took over a year for them to get started. The other one, it's been 2 years, and there's families that are waiting. It's taking years to just get ballistics back. And DNA takes forever. Like, these private sector companies can step in and help, and because it's cruel to have these families wait. And in like in Brandon's case that I spoke about previously, that's the one that's waiting on two sets of ballistics. There's more than one suspect. So this person could disappear. These people could go away. We have to get the evidence as soon as possible so the people can be caught. The longer that we take, the less chance of justice there is because witnesses go missing, evidence goes missing, things change. And Houston already has a 5 year average, a 5 year waiting period for a murder trial, and a lot of times it has to do with the evidence. And it's ridiculous. I also think it's like, I don't know if it's ego or they're protecting or they don't want to work with each other, but uh, I feel like there's even this issue with trying to get like the FBI to work with other agencies sometimes, and it's just we just need to all work together. Damn it! I don't know
Exactly.
what it is. I don't know if it's the good old boy culture or they don't want to share their stuff. They don't want to share their toys. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I can't imagine being a sheriff or a police commissioner and finding so much pride in partnering with any agency, whether it's government or public sourced, and going every week before a microphone and saying this doe is now this person, or we've solved this murder and this person's now been arrested. Can you imagine the wave of attention and popularity, even from a political standpoint? This is a viable platform that's a whole lot better than some of the shit that they're talking about anyway. And it's relevant, and it shouldn't be anywhere near the bottom of priorities. It should be just as much a priority. It should be absolutely part of crime solving. It should be as important as anything we talk about regarding law enforcement. It should be, but it's not. But hope to leverage that, and that's a grander goal of advocacy. But much like sharing a missing persons flyer, sharing stuff like that just grows exponentially, and everybody sharing it on their own platforms to their own viewers and subscribers can get worldwide attention in hours. And I think collectively society's swing and a miss on this one.
Yeah, and I could get in a whole nother rant and tangent about social media and that stuff, but I'll get into that later
Well,
with
we could
the
do it now. I'm pretty much ready to go.
because we take certain information and some people do the right thing and they discuss it, they share it, but other people take it, twist it, and turn it into content and a lot of harmful speculation. There's a lot of that going on right now in true crime in general. So, like, we as a society have a power to do great things. As investigated as everybody has gotten with the Karen Reed trial, for instance. Imagine if we got that many people involved with missing persons or unsolved other cases. There's thousands of cases out there that if you listen to the details, it I don't want to compare cases like this one's worse, this one's whatever, but there are many situations out there where the evidence doesn't line up, or there's all these things, or the investigation was not done properly. There's a lot of stuff like that out there, and they're just not known. They're not televised. So if there's stuff happening in your city, regardless of where you live, there's something happening. So I definitely advise people to join local the local missing groups, the local if you have a Crime Stoppers, pay attention to what is going on with them. That way you can share the missing flyers or the unsolved cases. Look at NamUs, see what's in your area. There's other cases that can be focused on if we put that energy into those. There's so much more work to be done, because now what's going to happen, the Karen Reed trial is going to be over, and then it's just going to move on to the next large trial with all eyes on it. And then, like Dawn, for instance, that is some wild shit. Like, it's unbelievable. Just like there's certain things in other cases that are unbelievable, but those ones are the ones being televised. So, something to dig into for our online sleuths is definitely check out our friends at Seeking Justice, watch their episodes, get the information about the case, and you'll see what we're talking about. But there's thousands of other cases just like this. They need your help. We need your help. We need help sharing these stories. That's why we have this show, to help share these stories and do it in an ethical manner, because there's too many true crime creators that are not in it for the right thing. I don't want to. I feel like I'm going to be poking a hornet's nest but like John Ray in his press conference, that, and then people take that information and run with it and twist it, and then we have other cases with harmful speculation. Idaho 4, people saying about the roommates or whatever. I don't like when people compare things, like, I wouldn't react this way, I wouldn't be like that on camera. Well, you really don't know. You really have no idea what it's like to find out someone you love is murdered, and have a microphone shoved in your face, have a camera shoved in your face. It doesn't mean this person's guilty or not. Just because somebody is calm on camera doesn't mean that they weren't just crying or all that. I gave a eulogy and I didn't shed one tear, but I was crying before I got there and I cried as soon as I was done. I have done many interviews and I was able to speak just fine, but sometimes I can't. But I just I just want people to be kind to one another and put yourself in their shoes and some speculation is harmful. It's okay to ask questions about certain things, but don't accuse people that aren't suspects. Like again with Idaho 4, some people are saying the roommates are involved or that they had to have heard something. Let's see. Too many attention seekers using true crime as a platform. Yes, for sensationalism and spectacle. And unfortunately, that's why we're growing not as quickly as some of these other creators because we're not doing the things that get clicks and likes. Our we're doing our show and platform in the way that we want to do it and keep our ethics. If I wanted to sell my soul, I could make money, but it's it's not even about the money. I just want them to get attention. Money's nice. I like money. I like to buy things and pay my bills, but I also like to sleep at night and I have a conscience. I couldn't do it. But
People don't do that. They don't approach it that way. They come up with shtick. All right, this is officially rant moment. They come up with shtick, whatever it may be. Hi guys, yeah, it can start off like that, where it's unassuming and people like the sound of their voice, um, or the way they believe that the content creator has done the research when that content creator lifted the research, um, never gave credit until that content creator was called out, um, by someone.
oh yeah, like the content creator that used my tweets.
That very same one.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, somebody that follows me on Twitter was kind enough to send me a video of another YouTuber. I'm assuming they're a YouTuber.
They are.
Okay, that they're a YouTuber, and I don't know, they had an issue that Raul and I were talking about John Ray's press conference and had issue with it, basically criticizing us for talking about it.
Well, the hypocrisy is well, they spend an hour on YouTube shows talking endlessly about it. Meanwhile, bro, you're spending an hour on it. Your two videos before was over 2 hours and 40 minutes long on it all, and it's all lifted material. You claim to be a 14. Oh, I'm gonna go really off. Let me calm down. You claim to be a 14-year researcher, but there's nothing to show for that. There's nothing original, no content that's been generated that's original, and you're disingenuous, absolutely disingenuous. And listen, you want to believe John Ray, then go ahead and believe John Ray all you want. I don't care. I'll put the time in to state the facts as I always do. I'll put the links in to prove it. I'll substantiate it all. But if you're going to blindly be led by that man, then you're a buffoon.
Hmm.
And it, none of this had to happen. He started. He started this. Like,
Yeah,
I stay in my own lane. He was even in my Facebook group, and I just booted him out after that because don't be two faced, man. Like if I
yeah,
disagree with
and
people in my Facebook group all the time, but it's not contentious. And I'm
yeah,
still friends even on my personal Facebook with people I disagree with. People in the list case that have been there historically from the beginning talking about their angle, which is fine. I've had conversations with this person. I've disagreed with her immensely publicly, but that's just what rational people can do. They can have this conversation. It can even be heated.
hmm,
But when it goes off the deep end, then it's wrong. Nathan went off
right.
the deep end and called out you, me, Kerry, a couple other people, and I wasn't going to tolerate
Joe,
that. He called
yeah,
out Joe.
Sarge, good company.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I tweeted like I was proud to be in that category, but don't be a hypocrite, bro. Don't be a
Right.
hypocrite.
And if you're going to use screenshots of what I say, tag me. Don't be a coward.
Yep.
Like that's and I stand by what I said. There was nothing wrong with what I said. It was unethical. He kept calling it evidence. What evidence?
It's not
It's
evidence.
not
Not
pulling
evidence.
somebody's social media that's old is not evidence. And it's just like them speculating with that is dangerous because to me, that's putting Victoria's life at risk. Her mental health and people that may actually believe that crazy shit might try to hurt her because people are nuts. And she's what? She's 27. Again, she was 13 at the last time of the murder, and she has enough shit going on. Like, I'm like all the stuff that they put out there. I don't know how she feels, but I worry about her mental health. If anything happens to her, that's on them. And the same thing goes for the Idaho 4 case, people blaming the roommates, people speculating it was the roommates, those kinds of things, that it's not okay. Or people criticizing the roommates for going out. Like there was a photo with, I think, Dylan at a Halloween party that somebody tweeted and they were criticizing her. And I called that out. I said, "You have no idea how she feels. She's allowed to go out." And I don't remember exactly what I said, but it ended up in Newsweek. They didn't tell me that they were using it. I just wish people would let me know when they use my stuff. I don't care. Just let me know. But if it
Yeah.
wasn't for the people that watch me, I would never know. They're the ones that tell me. Someone else told me that I ended up in Newsweek. But, those are the things I'm okay with that because I stand by what I say. And if I'm going to be known for something, I'm going to be known for standing up for victims. I don't make any money doing what I'm doing. It costs me money to do the advocacy that I'm doing. It's put me in debt. I don't give a shit. Would it be nice to have thousands of subscribers and ad revenue or like money coming in? Yeah, but I don't do what I do to make money. I do it to help people because I know what it's like to have someone you love murdered and to have reporters harass you at the wrong times, to have an investigation, a shitty detective, and a shitty district attorney. I know what it's like, and I don't want anybody else to go through that alone. And I I had no idea what to do, and I had to go to another victim advocate for help.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Andy Kahn, I wouldn't have been able to have some of the conversations that I was able to have, like with the district attorney and some other things. Andy really helped me, but Andy can't. Andy is one person, and so there needs to be more of us. So that's why I stepped into this. And Andy's going to have to retire eventually. He's in his 60s, and there needs to be more victim advocates that aren't connected to law enforcement and the district attorney's office because they're overwhelmed too. We need more victim advocates in general. I don't want anybody to go on this journey and struggle alone. With the little girl that was just murdered in Houston, 12 years old, Jocelyn, her funeral's tomorrow. I'm going. I have a book that I'm going to give her, the book from Dr. Canty. My memory sucks. I know her. I love her. I swear. I'm going to give her that book. She's actually, so Jocelyn's mother has been working with a good friend of mine, April Aguirre. April Aguirre's niece was murdered a couple years ago as well. So April has been a fierce advocate for her. So there are a bunch of us that are mad as hell, and we're not going to take it, and we're standing up to help other people that have been impacted. Paul Castro, also wonderful man. His son was murdered leaving an Astros game, a road rage incident. We've all worked together and we come together to help support these other victims. My friend Michelle also, she's lost some friends to homicide. Her AT&T store had been robbed 5 or 6 times. Like having a gun in your face is traumatic. So she's also a victim advocate. If you're sick and tired of what's happening in your city, I mean, speak up. The problem is that there's not enough of us when it's needed. people have to talk to the politicians, go to your city council meetings, hold the police chief accountable, all of these things. We're all sick and tired of it. We have to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And I just, yeah, I just want people to do what they're supposed to do and be nice to each other. But that's never going to happen. It's all about, and that goes back to capitalism, because people will take whatever contact and take whatever content and turn it into whatever to make money, and like Publicly Buzzed, for instance, they don't do super serious content all the time, but they're respectful. They're funny, silly guys, but they don't do get into that bad stuff. Their content may not be for everybody, but I love hanging out with them. I think they're great. They've been super kind to me. Same thing with the shaming of Jay. Jay, has some humor, but they're respectful to the victims. Brandi, Churchwell, like these are good creators. 13 Juror, Sarge. If there's more creators like that, then that would be great. There needs to be more good people in there. So,
I
the only
put
thing
all of those. I put all those links in the show notes too,
okay.
because there are some really great content creators, with that level of empathy, that level of self awareness and responsibility. Like, having a large following doesn't make you popular. It makes you responsible for putting out the right information in the right way. So I put Brandy in there. I put Joe, of course. Gizela from the Grizzlies is in there.
Mm-hmm.
I put the Othram links, their Twitter, their Facebook, and the link to the article in there. I put your link in there. Um, People need to be recognized for standing on a platform that is with the right morality to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a segue to the next slide that I'm just going to share, because I never really wanted the spotlight. I never really sought that out. I'm super grateful for everyone that follows me and sends me beautiful words of encouragement or what have you. um, I thought I, I thought I thought that would be me.
You know what I meant to do? I meant to set an alarm for 4:50. I'm glad I was paying attention to the time.
Yeah, I also, yes, and thanks, Sinead, because Wayne is incredible. Wayne is the genius behind Odd Stops, who's also in the show notes. I've adjusted my map several times based on his research, and I don't do that lightly. I take that seriously. His research is spot on. His analytical approach to uh, whether it's crime scenes or victims or murderers, is very well thought through, and I adore and I cherish my friendship with Wayne. He's just a kind man, and he's effective. Like, he's super effective. Um, if you don't know, I'm so committed to Judith Ramona Velaz's missing person, and he did on his Odd Stops website the locations for her. And he shared that with me beforehand, and I had to take an extra half hour because I watched it or reviewed it twice, and I was very emotional from it, and I thought that was a beautiful show of support, and I respect him immensely for that. So he's in there too. I thought I'd get a lot of shit at me, especially after the John Ray stand up that I went. Not that it was comedy, that I had to stand up against John Ray and all of that nonsense and brucado, blah. So I'm honored and blessed and really humbled that I didn't get as much shit that I thought I would get. Uh, Maybe the enemies are aligning still, but I'll deal with them when they come. But I got a message on Reddit from someone. I'm cropping their name out because after thanking them, I haven't had the chance to really speak with them. But let me put this up there. How do I do that? Oh wait, I do. I got it. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Hold on. Here it
There you
is.
go.
And I'm gonna read it. And there's something in it that's super special to me. But this is what they wrote. I could feel in your live how uncomfortable you are with the spotlight and how being labeled as the conscience of the case feels a bit gross and ill-fitting for your soul. It does. I can appreciate that discomfort and I find it very honorable. It's a huge part of why I have so much respect for you in this strange community that has been built. You've never basked in the spotlight. Rather, you've always reflect the sun away from yourself and onto the victims. You are a leader. Reporters of the facts often don't want to become the story themselves. I don't think you've become the story, though. I think that in many ways, you've become the story's custodian. Maybe it's okay to lean into that for the sake of justice and remembrance. Um, that was powerful for me. I read that in the morning, and I literally sat down after reading that because it hit me hard. And I, out of all the wonderful, beautiful comments, that's gonna stick with me for a long, long time because I don't like titles. But custodian, I felt very honored by that. It means you're maintaining, you're honoring, and you're doing a job worthy of the people that lost their lives and the families that continue to suffer and waiting for justice. That really meant so much to me, and it came off of the week before, where talking about um, you know things that mattered and advocacy. It really struck this home for me. Victim exploitation does not equal victim advocacy.
Yep,
John Ray
absolutely.
called himself a fucking advocate.
No.
I don't know what he's an advocate for other than to dismiss society, or a new flashy bow tie or a bowler hat or a press conference in the weeds. Like I that's not advocacy.
No.
He lost, if he ever had it, his true calling for advocacy. Um, and we'll see where that takes him, in the future. But this is such an important statement, and people like to conflate it as, well, I'm advocating, any attention's good attention. No, it's not. It really isn't. And if you're not literally living this example, then you don't belong in this space, and you certainly don't belong anywhere near me or the people I love, care about, and protect. If
Yes,
you are not
absolutely.
keeping that victim as the center of all that you do, you're failing. If you
Yes.
cannot avoid harmful speculation, you're failing. If you're not researching your facts responsibly, you're failing. And if you are not engaging with empathy, you have failed. You must leave.
Yes, and shout out to Julie Murray for that. She's unfortunately the Murray family. Oh God, I'm gonna cry thinking about what they've been through. I did cry the other day, actually, because see, there's the because what happened to her made me drastically drastically change my views on CrimeCon. Uh, the fact that a person that has harassed her family and like wrote a book, did all this stuff, but like literally accosted her and they got a booth and
Well, then they flip the script and they make themselves the victim.
right, it's I keep seeing the stuff that they're saying, remember, engage with them, like they're mocking her. And it's just like, yeah, imagine somebody accused you of sexually assaulting your daughter that is missing. Or what if someone you love was murdered or missing and somebody came up yelling at you? How would you feel about that person? I think that she is she has shown restraint that I don't know that I could. I was so upset. When I think about what has happened to the Murray family, all I can think about is that happening to me, but worse, happening to Austin's family. If anybody ever does anything to hurt Austin's family, or I will I will
Well, don't say it.
become John Wick so quick. Like I will yeah, I can't even probably legally say what I would do because then there's evidence.
I mean,
But
Texas is a long way from New York, but I'd be on a plane in the morning.
like if anybody ever did anything like that to Austin's family, I would never forgive myself because it's my fault that there is even any eyes on what happened, and they have allowed me to be the family advocate, the voice for the family. And when I called her and told her why I was upset and what happened, and she told me that that had always been a fear of theirs, that somebody starts digging in our life, or trying to make Austin look like a bad person or whatever. And it's extremely traumatic. And to even have that fear, you can't be fully open and honest in this space because somebody might take something or go back with stuff that doesn't matter. Like, and then, people criticize Asa and Victoria for deleting their social media. Well, duh. If people are digging into your life, wouldn't you delete yours just to avoid people finding the most minor thing? When we had our legal stuff going on, what's the word? Deactivated. I deactivated a lot of stuff and I did delete some things. My MySpace, when I was an idiot, when I was a young, stupid kid 20 years ago, I did a lot of stupid shit on MySpace and I posted some things that I would be embarrassed if it was made public. I had to send my ID to MySpace to get it deleted because I was so scared that some attorney was going to dig into my life while we're doing this. And it's not like we're on anywhere near the same level of LISK. They're going to do much more due diligence with that. Well, I would assume. I can't say that because there's been plenty of mistakes and bigger stuff. But it's adding that fear and trauma to families that already have the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to them is cruel. And I just, the laws or something need to change because, when it comes to homicides and missing people, yes, it's public information, but where do we draw the line at morality? Just because something is legal does not mean that it is morally or socially okay.
I mean, you can
And
still marry a minor in some of these states.
I know there's yeah, there's a lot of stuff that needs to change, and the only thing I can ask people that consume true crime and watch creators and podcasts is just make sure that the person that you are supporting is not doing anything harmful. If they are, if they're harassing a family, if they are accusing family members of things and they've never been a suspect, if they're accusing somebody literally of murder, if they're causing issues, if they are harmful speculation, if they're doing anything that is exploitive, then that's probably not somebody that should be in the space. Are they helping? Are they harming? And that's why we want to support other people that are ethical, and we want to make sure that true crime can be ethical. It's not, but it could be. So what if we need to set the standard. We need to set the standard and let people know what is okay and what isn't okay. So those problem creators, they have a large following, and it's terrifying. And then those supporters will get in the arguments and stuff with them and target those people too. And Yeah, it's basically like having a gang out for you, and
Well, it's dangerous too because they use victims in their crazy scenarios,
yeah,
and families are present to see that. Like even in the list Facebook groups, someone, people still insist that there are or were, you know, crazy drug filled sex parties with politicians, law enforcement, and serial murders. I'm like, well, show me some proof of this. Like, I can sit there and validate that the rumor's been out there forever, but there's nothing to support it. And you can sit there and say mutually assured destruction so everybody keeps their mouth shut. Well, that works only until you have capital serial murder. Someone's going to slip up and say something, and there's nothing there until there is something there. That's
right.
what I'm going to say. Someone today finally, and it wasn't even the one that I was, because I was being a bit of a troll myself today and trolling I call it troll. I spend an hour trolling the trolls because you got to keep an eye on them. Somebody got to. So this one person doubled down on a statement, and I was like, give me something. For once, somebody give me something. Because every time I say prove it, the thread goes dead. Because that's it. There's nothing to share other than I think, you know,
Yeah.
in a world full of ifs, okay, then it exists, but in reality, it doesn't. So this one person gave me a relatively responsible response. And while I responded with thank you, I disagree, but I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you taking the effort to even have the conversation based on what you believe. I don't mind having that. That's important conversation. But the danger is when they start going, oh yeah, and this victim was at that party, and this victim's phone number was in this person's cell phone before they committed suicide, which isn't a suicide, it's a murder. Like it just goes bonkers. And you're playing content creator with a victim.
Hmm.
That is shitty. That is avoid harmful speculation. That's what they can't do. And that's what's dangerous about these irresponsible content creators out there in the true grime world with thousands of followers being utterly irresponsible with their platforms. And shame on the people that want to absorb everything that they're hearing as gospel.
Hmm.
And that's why I put out there, if you want the facts, send me a message before you release your video.
Yeah, it's that's the scary thing about the internet. People take things that they just read, and Pammy said, "Do the right thing" is so simple, but so hard for many to follow, and fame or potential treatment, preferential treatment is involved. Like when it comes to the internet, you have to take things with a grain of salt.
You
I
got to
don't,
take them with Salt Lake City.
I like I don't get my facts from Twitter. I might read Twitter, but I don't get my facts from there. I'll see something and I will look it up, and if you cannot verify it, it is not fact. It's there can be rumors, there can be like even if I know something that somebody has told me something, I might know, but I'm not going to present it as fact without something to provide and give you. I think it's like this is has nothing to do with true crime, but for there was this one article that I saw. I can't remember what it was, but it was something about the Pope. I'm Catholic, and I'm not strict Catholic, but I was raised Catholic. I love Pope Francis. He's probably the most accepting pope the Catholic Church has ever had. So I think he's good for us, and we. So if something happens to him, check on me. But but there was this really weird article about him, and I was like, oh no. I was like, he said that, and then like I had to Google it, And then there was only one article, and it was from like some website. So then I looked to see where the website was from. It was from the Philippines. So during our 2016 election, there was other countries creating websites and stuff and putting it out there to put fake information. So it's not unheard of that people inject fake information. If it's only in one place, if it's some obscure website, it's probably fake. Like uh, the show that I stream on Sundays, Love After Lockup. I have seen all over the internet that Maurice was shot in California and that he's in a coma, but I have yet to see a major news outlet put it. I've seen some things from people on social media. So when I made a post, I said, "This is what I've heard. I can't prove it. This is what the social media says, so keep an eye out. Something could have happened." So it's just we have to be careful with the information that we're spreading. If there isn't proof, then say, "This is what I heard," but it's I wish I could say it's common sense. You know, people are like, "It seems basic," but it's not, and it's causing an issue on social media. It's especially Facebook. There's an issue with AI generated stuff on Facebook now, and people are eating it up. It's fake photos, and they're like this, look at what I made. And it's like a kid in Africa that made a sculpture out of plastic bottles that's totally fake. But people are liking and sharing it and commenting, and they're doing it for engagement. And then those pages get sold. So the more you create stuff just for clicks and likes, then the more, it doesn't matter what it is. So if it sounds outrageous, it probably is. Just Google it and look for another source or something. Don't
Yeah.
double check stuff. Don't, but even if I say something, don't believe me, double check for yourself. I try to anything that I mention I normally have on my Twitter, and I try to keep a thread, and I put news links and stuff like that. I'm not perfect. I may make mistakes. If I make a mistake, let me know. But yeah, just verify stuff before you share it or let people know. Just adding to the hot steaming pile of digital manure. Yes, be careful when circulate reporting as well. A single source is picked up by the usual suspects. Yes. So, um, well, I'm Catholic, but I'm not like strict Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Um, so I'm not like, I don't go to church that often. That in itself is technically a sin. I don't care. Uh, but anyway, I'm that was my rant for.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm with you. So I think next week, if all things work out, I'll have. I want to go back to talking about some unidentified. They've just been tugging on me lately, and today I managed the last 2 days to get another 100 people from Arizona on that. So on NamUs, Arizona has 88 pages. I'm down. I I'm now on 72. So working my way down to one and getting them all there before I start either California or Texas next. But I want to get it done. Can't help people if I don't have it all in. So
Well, California and Texas are so massive. Harris County in itself has thousands of missing and thousands of
yeah, I can't even
unsolved
get to the missing
cases.
yet. I'm still working on the unidentified. So missing will get layered in as they happen, as I get compelled to do one or two. But yeah, so next week I'm ready to go back to the full premise.
Yeah, me too. I already have some waiting. Yeah, I got the. I'm gonna make a. My goal is to make a slideshow this time. I have a lot of photos and information and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So thank you everyone for being with us tonight. The new subscribers, we really appreciate you. It means a lot to us. And those that just are aligned with how we think and how we feel. Um, you're very, very dear to us. And I, for one, love you. And just you motivate me every day. I adore you, and I'm glad you're back.
I'm glad to be back, and clearly I can't go anywhere because it's like it's like,
Trolls ain't
yeah.
never going away.
Well, it's like fighting a battle,
Yeah,
and it's like if we give up, who's going to be there to fight? There's only so many people, and we need more people on our side. So,
yeah. Which is why I didn't get too far into that battle, because it's going to take me away from my math. It's going to take me away from research. It's going to take me away from standing up and speaking about, the Gilgo victims, and what we ought to be looking at, and just to like punch up, like Kerry says, and
yeah,
not use my platform to help build someone else's if they're a negative entity. And
yeah.
that's
We
it for me.
try to ignore it until it becomes a much larger issue.
Yep.
Just because it's some of them, if you give them any attention, it's just
Yeah.
feeding them. So,
But I'm
you know,
always watching them.
like from Monsters Inc. Always
I
watching.
am always watching, always trolling the trolls.
Well, like we said, we'll be back next week. Next week, we'll be back to our normal show structure. We'll be sharing some cases, and yeah, we'll be back to normal. I'll be back tomorrow morning on my channel with the morning news recap. If you're not subscribed on my channel, I'm gonna put my link tree in the chat. It's in the whatever it's called, the comments, the description, whatever of the show too. Let's see. I was looking at Harris County. So many people with just a few pieces of clothing or fraction of their remains. I agree, and it's so. God, my brain is not working. Aggravating. Because when I was looking through NamUs and I found some that were in my area, it was the one with the RV pissed me off so much. Remember, I was ranting to you about the RV because there I'm going to go again. They found him in the RV, but nothing about the RV. No information about the RV. I think that would be helpful. No information about anything except, he could have been anywhere from this height to 5 inches taller and have no idea what his race is and all this stuff. It doesn't help at all. But anyway,
Yeah.
what's for
Well,
dinner tonight? They want to know.
oh, I already had dinner. I made on nights we do the show. I eat earlier, so it really wasn't all that special. It was just some marinated pork chops in tequila and jalapeno.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna have leftover pizza because I got some New York style pizza yesterday. They actually ship in water from New York, and they have New York water for sale. So
New York water. I mean, it's special.
it
That's why
is.
that's why New York bagels are the best in the world. It's the water.
Yeah, I should buy some of their water and make some bagels at home and see how that turns out. But the pizza was really good. I love pizza. Oh,
I love them.
Linktree is just a link that has all of the links. That's the best way I can describe it. It's the link to end all links. It has all the things.
Yeah,
That's
it's a channel. Like it's just a website, and like if you go to mine, you could see the link to the map, the link to the other databases, the link to my Facebook group, the link to everything. CatchLISK, all the links are there. Same thing with Jessika For Justice show, the Facebook show. Buy her a coffee. Buy her coffee. Buy her coffee. And it's a one stop ball for all things creator.
yeah, and if you have a bunch of stuff, I definitely recommend getting a link tree. But yeah, that's it, guys. I will see you tomorrow morning on my channel, 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern. I'll start later at some point when the Karen Reed trial's done,
Yeah.
because I got to be done by 8 a.m. or nobody's going to be paying attention to me anyway. But I will see you guys tomorrow morning. I love you all, and we'll see you next week. Bye.